You know how sometimes everything looks perfect on the outside, but deep down, something just doesn't feel right? That's exactly how my relationship was for the longest time. On the surface, we were the couple everyone admired, always smiling in photos, going out with friends, sharing cute moments online. It was like we had that fairy tale going. I honestly believed we were solid, that nothing could shake what we had. But there were little things I started to notice. She'd suddenly be distant during dinner, or her phone would buzz, and she'd quickly hide it from me. Sometimes when I asked about her day, she'd get defensive or vague. I shrugged it off at first, telling myself I was just being paranoid or overthinking things. I wanted to trust her, and honestly, I thought I was being crazy for doubting her. That feeling of something being off is something a lot of us can relate to, right? When you sense a crack in the foundation but can't quite pinpoint where it's coming from. It's confusing and frustrating because you want to believe in the best version of the person you love. I wanted that too, more than anything. So I kept telling myself to ignore the doubts. Maybe it was stress from work or just a rough patch. I even convinced myself to focus on the good parts, the laughter, the shared plans, the promises. But the nagging feeling wouldn't go away. It kept creeping in like a shadow in the back of my mind. Looking back, I realized that trusting your gut is so important. It's not about being suspicious all the time, but about paying attention to what your heart and mind are telling you. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And ignoring those signs doesn't make the problem disappear. It only delays the inevitable. At this point, I was standing on a delicate edge between hope and doubt, not knowing what lay ahead. But I was about to discover a truth that would change everything. The perfect facade was about to shatter in ways I never imagined. If you've ever felt like this, caught between love and suspicion, stick around because this story isn't just about betrayal. It's about what happens when you find out the truth and how you can find your strength to face it. Before we move on, I want you to think. Have you ever ignored that little voice inside warning you something wasn't right? How did it feel? Let me know in the comments, and if you like stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next steps of this story. I think what hurt the most was how easily she lied. It wasn't just once or twice. It was the way she looked me in the eye and told me she loved me, while hiding a whole different life behind my back. That kind of betrayal doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in slowly, like poison, and you don't even realize how much it's killing you until you've already swallowed too much. One night, she told me she was going out with some coworkers, said they were doing a late project and probably wouldn't finish until close to midnight. I said okay, kissed her goodbye, and told her to drive safe. But as she walked out the door, something in my gut twisted. Not fear, more like a deep sense of knowing. Like my heart finally caught up with what my brain had been trying to deny for weeks. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, wondering what was real and what wasn't anymore. Around 10:30, I picked up her iPad, which, stupidly enough, was still connected to her messages. I didn't go looking for anything specific. I was just tired of being in the dark. And then there it was. Messages from a guy I'd never heard of. Sweet nothings, inside jokes, plans to spend the weekend away from everything. It was like reading someone else's love story, except that someone was my wife. And I wasn't even in the picture. I couldn't breathe for a second. My heart literally dropped. I felt sick, betrayed, numb. But right underneath that pain, something else started to rise. Anger. Not the loud, breaking things kind. The cold, steady kind that makes you want to do something about it. The kind that says, "She thought I'd never find out." But she was wrong. I didn't confront her right away. No yelling, no accusations. That's what she probably expected. I wanted her to feel safe, comfortable, like nothing was wrong. Because when people get comfortable, they get careless. So I played along, the good husband, the supportive partner. I kissed her good morning, made her coffee, asked about her day. I let her lie to my face while I quietly collected the truth behind her back. I started watching her habits, noting her stories, keeping track of times and places. I even synced her phone location to my account. She never changed her password. It felt cold and calculated. And maybe it was. But when someone breaks your trust like that, you stop playing by the rules. You stop being the guy who assumes the best in people and start becoming the guy who learns the truth, no matter how ugly it is. And let me tell you, I wasn't even close to ready for how ugly it would get. It's crazy how someone can live a double life right under your nose, and you'd never know until the mask slips. That was my wife. Sweet, loving, charming to everyone's face. But behind my back, she was someone else entirely. And the worst part? I was still sleeping next to her every night. After reading those messages, I knew I needed more than just screenshots. I wanted the truth to speak so loudly, she couldn't lie her way out of it. So I did what I never thought I'd do. I started documenting everything. Every message, every suspicious trip, every time she said she was going out with coworkers, but ended up miles away from the office. I even started taking photos of gas receipts and comparing timestamps with her texts. It felt like I was building a case, like some kind of emotional detective. And here's the wild part. While I was playing Sherlock Holmes, she was falling deeper into her own lie. She smiled more, laughed louder, even started dressing up for these so-called work nights. At one point, she even thanked me for being so understanding. That one stung. Because I wasn't being understanding, I was being strategic. Then came the opportunity I was waiting for. She told me she was going on a work retreat that weekend. Said she'd be gone for 2 nights, back Sunday evening. Claimed she'd be swamped with presentations, team building stuff, the usual script. But I already knew better. She wasn't going to a hotel with her team. She was going to a cabin with him. I had her location synced to my phone, so once she left, I waited an hour and then drove out there myself. It was a few hours outside the city. Remote, quiet, the kind of place you go to disappear. When I got there, I parked down the road and walked through the woods behind the cabin. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from this deep need for clarity. I had to see it with my own eyes, and I did. There they were, sitting on the porch, drinking wine like it was just another romantic getaway. She looked happy, relaxed, like she hadn't left a husband at home who thought she was working hard to support their future. I didn't go in. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I took photos, videos, time-stamped proof that couldn't be denied. Then I quietly walked back to my car, drove home, and sat in the dark until the sun came up. That was the night something in me shifted. I wasn't just the guy who got cheated on anymore. I was the guy who knew. And knowing changes everything. It gives you power, control, and most importantly, it gives you options. I waited until she came home. The lies practically floated through the door before she even spoke. She kissed me on the cheek, like she hadn't just spent the weekend wrapped up with another man. She smiled, told me how exhausting her retreat had been, said the team-building exercises were really intense. I nodded. I asked her if she had any pictures from the trip. She paused, blinked, said she didn't think to take any. That's when I knew she still thought she was in control. But I had something she didn't. The truth. And I wasn't planning to waste it. I waited until after dinner. Let her talk about her fake retreat. Let her paint this perfect picture of how hard she was working, how much she missed me. It was almost theatrical, the way she played it, like she'd rehearsed the lines. Then I stood up and calmly placed my phone on the table. I opened the photos, the videos. One by one, I slid them across to her. At first, her face froze. Then she laughed, not because it was funny, but because she didn't know what else to do. She tried to talk her way out of it, said it was just a friend, said they didn't mean anything. I asked her if just a friend was worth destroying our marriage. She went quiet. I told her I knew everything, every lie, every message, every moment she thought I was blind. Then I gave her a choice. We could do this quietly. No yelling, no drama. She could pack her things, leave peacefully, and I wouldn't go public. Or she could lie one more time, and I'd let everyone see who she really was. Family, friends, her job. She started crying. Not the kind that makes you feel sorry. The kind that happens when someone realizes their game is over. She knew she'd lost. And honestly, in that moment, I didn't feel angry. I felt calm, powerful, like the storm had passed and I was still standing. She chose to leave, and that was it. The woman who once stood next to me and promised forever was now dragging a suitcase out the front door. Her silence was louder than any apology. That night, I sat on the couch and let the emptiness settle. I wasn't celebrating, but I wasn't broken either. I had loved her, deeply. But loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. So if you're listening to this and you're stuck in a situation where someone's lying to you, gaslighting you, making you feel like you're crazy, listen to your gut. Gather your truth. Move in silence. And when the time is right, let the truth speak louder than any scream. Because in the final step, I found something I didn't expect. Peace. The days after she left were quiet. Not peaceful at first. Just quiet. Like my whole life had been turned down. Like the volume got cut off and I was left with my own thoughts. But you know what surprised me most? I didn't miss her. I missed the idea of her. The version I thought she was. The future I thought we had. The betrayal burned at first, not just because she cheated, but because of how deep her lies went. The sneaking around, the fake work trips, the pretending. It made me question everything. Was anything real? But then something shifted. I woke up one morning and realized I was free. Not just from her, but from the second guessing, the anxiety, the walking on eggshells feeling I hadn't even realized I was carrying. I could breathe again. My chest felt lighter. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was bracing for the next lie. I started doing the things I had put off for years. I reconnected with old friends. I picked up hobbies I used to love. I took long walks without needing to explain where I was going. It felt weird at first, this much space, this much freedom. But it also felt right. I've learned that healing doesn't come all at once. Some days still hurt, but the pain is honest now. And every step forward feels like I'm building something new. something real. And to anyone listening who's been through something similar, I see you. I know how hard it is to love someone who betrays you, to believe in something that turns out to be a lie. But I promise, you're stronger than you think. You don't need to shrink yourself to hold on to someone who doesn't value you. Forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of their choices. And revenge? Sometimes the best revenge is simply moving on without them, living well, loving yourself more than they ever could. So if this story hit home for you, do me a favor. Tap that like button, subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories, and drop a comment below. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? What helped you heal? I read every single comment, and your story might help someone else feel less alone. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. You've got this. And if no one's told you today, you deserve loyalty, love, and peace.